In this video, I'm going to share all about our October updates in our homeschool, and there are some pretty big changes and updates that I have to share with you. So if you're interested in all things homeschooling, stick around. So while I really believe that consistency is really a good thing in homeschool, I really have been making some big changes and frequent changes within our homeschool over this past maybe year to 2 years. Prior to that, I really stuck to everything the same, but between my two children, one is I found that my children learn differently. And so what worked for my first child might not have worked well for my second child. And also just by speaking to other homeschool moms and hearing about other methods and things that worked well for them, it would often lead me just want to test the waters, try it out, and I would find things that we loved more. Now, I don't always recommend that you always have to keep changing things. If something works, and by works, your children are thriving, they're learning, they're growing, they're advancing, those are all things that mean work. Also, sometimes things can become monotonous and you just want to change things up and make them a bit more different and fun. And so those are all things that I do within our homeschool, from as my children grow and learn, they develop new interests and new ways that they want to try to learn and gain more knowledge. So I'm always trying out new things. Now, I mean, I shouldn't say I always am trying out new things. I never really did before, but I have been. And these are some of the things that we have changed within our homeschool in really only the past month and a half or so. And I didn't really want to mention it until we kind of gave it a little bit of time to try it out to see how we liked them. Now, this is in no particular order, but the first thing that I have added to our homeschool is to our math curriculum. Now, this is a program called iExcel. There's the logo for it here. This is one that I knew of since my daughter was in kindergarten in public school. The public school gave us access to iExcel and we utilized it a little bit. It wasn't overly exciting in the kindergarten level, and so we didn't use it a lot, but we would occasionally use it for math games and things like that. And I hadn't heard nothing of it after that. But then a friend of mine, she heard about it, heard great results in the statistics of children that utilized it, really excelled in math and did really well in standardized testing and going on into secondary education through getting supplemental support through iExcel. So I had also heard that you could do, that it did a diagnostic test to see where your children were at, and it would help you figure out where the holes were in their knowledge. Now, iExcel does more than math. It does language arts, math, science, geography, I think those 4 subjects. But I was interested in math. In our language arts and in our other subjects, I really feel that we are filling in, there aren't really holes when it comes to geography and science, because you learn, for us, we're learning based on our own interests and things like that, or at least in science. Language arts, I know that my children are above level and really getting a really great solid language arts education. And in comparison to what just in comparison curriculum wise, I had no concerns that way. But in math, if you have looked at my previous math videos, there have been holes all along in their learning. Certain math curriculum cover topics at different stages, at different levels, and at different depths, and in different ways. And so I found that there were different learning gaps in the math. But it was hard to always know where those learning gaps are. And so I became interested in iExcel in order to help me see where those learning gaps were. For example, I didn't realize that my kids, and I don't know how important this particular math topic is, but as an example, I didn't realize that my kids did not understand Roman numerals. Now, that is probably not the biggest hole or concern to have in math, But those were one of the things, and through IXL, they were able to fill in that gap of learning their Roman numerals. Or just in the way that math might use different terminologies or different ways of explaining how to do math. Math UC, we still love, we're using that. That is our core math curriculum. We have been supplementing a little bit with beauty and truth, although much less than what I had used last year, just because of time. We don't have a lot of time to incorporate other math. We are still incorporating some Beast Academy math problems. I also had a Singapore math word problem, which we probably will use more in the summertime again, which we had been using this past summer. But IXL has a diagnostic function where it will test your children and also tell them what level of math they're measuring up to. So my children in various different, number sense, algebra, geometry, it's scoring them at what grade level they're at, and then you can focus in on those particular topics a bit more, rather than just kind of like, here's a broad spectrum, learn it all, and you're maybe not be figuring out exactly where their holes are. So I really was interested in starting it for that reason, and so we did. But I'm also now using it to go through all the lessons, because I often wondered what would ever happen if what if I passed away, which is a horrible thought. My husband wouldn't be able to homeschool my children. My children would have to go back to public school. But with Math UC, because it just focuses on one topic and one topic alone for that whole entire year, there is a whole wealth of gaps that they are missing out on. And so it's not this failure, this fear of missing out, that why I'm doing IXL, but I want to just it's supplementing. They are enjoying it. It is online. And so if online is something that you are really much against, you won't enjoy IXL. It is completely online, but it's very user friendly. It's not, cartoony. It's just very, straightforward math problems. It does offer video tutorials and help, and it has games as well. So you can also have the game portion for some fun math time. So we start off with a lesson. Actually, what we've been doing is on Mondays, we do a diagnostic test. Every Monday I do a little quick diagnostic test to it hones in on their scores, which we don't have to pay attention too much to the numbers. At least I don't get them to, but I take a look to see which areas we need to focus on. On Tuesdays, we'll focus on the recommended diagnostic lessons that they should then work on. And then the rest of the week, I'll get them to go to their grade level and just slowly go through the lessons so that they're filling in maybe some gaps that if, for example, next year, suddenly my daughter would have to go back to public school, she would be caught up. There wouldn't be this, well, I only learned fractions for this past year and I have no idea what this other topic is. She's going to have a basic understanding in all areas at grade level, and they're both above grade level. So they're both really doing well. Another proof and evidence that homeschool really does work and that you don't have to be a certified teacher to teach your children. Both of my kids in math and other subjects, by this testing, they are above level for their math. So I'm really excited about IXL. I will link it below if you're interested. I'm not an affiliate of the program. There's no kickback to me. I just think it's a really great option if you're looking for something supplementary, and to maybe even if you're interested in finding out if there are holes in your child's knowledge in math. The next thing that I have added in, now I made a video a while back about Under the Home. It's a Charlotte Mason inspired curriculum that is completely, entirely free from grade 1 to grade 5 in every single subject. They offer guides to every single subject online. You can print it all out. It's really excellent. And I've started using that to supplement our geography. This year I've decided to do my own geography curriculum. I made a video about it. I'll link that below, where I am following this book about the great rivers around the world. And we're following the rivers, and at each stop, stopping at a new country and learning in depth about that country. But what I found is that So the alveary does a geography, and alongside it, they will talk about different geography components like mapping and understanding, direction and, like hemispheres and these kinds of things, understanding how to guide and use maps and things like that. Whereas now, if we're just studying a country and learning about that country and the people and the all of that kind of stuff, the climate, and I realized that my kids didn't understand certain parts about mapping, like what is the Eastern Hemisphere versus the Western Hemisphere and things like that. So Under the Home has a very extensive geography program that starts in grade 1 all the way up to grade 5. And I'm just going through all the different levels and picking out the topics that I know my children don't know well yet. And we're following those guides to supplement our geography program. I'm really loving it. I'm loving the maps and the work activities, the map work questions, and the different project ideas that Under the Home is giving. And my kids are really enjoying adding that. And we're putting in all of that stuff into a geography journal. Let me show you what that looks like. So we've started this geography journal. This is what my older daughter's looks like. And they put different things in here. Some of it are their own drawings. This is when we studied Germany. They'll glue in maps or draw maps and different things that we're learning about. And they will document the things. So this is stuff from Under the Home, where they were learning about the different hemispheres and things like that. And so they're really enjoying it, and it's supplementing things that were important to know about geography that I kind of realized we can't just study about places and not also teach them about, understanding maps and things like that. So we're really liking that a lot. And I've also gone through Under the Home, and I'm going to be, we've used a bit of their poetry guides and artist study as well. We've been using the Alveary and Ambleside Online's artist studies, but I've also taken a look at Under the Home, and we probably will pull a few of their suggestions as well. The next pretty big change for us. So I made a very recent video about writing curriculum. Now, we have absolutely loved Writing with Ease by the Well-Trained Mind, and that one I will always recommend, but it only goes to level 4. My daughter has finished that program, and so I began to start her in the next writing curriculum by the Well-Trained Mind. That's the next step after Writing with Ease, called Writing with Skill. Now, I knew that Writing with Skill was often said that it's better to start it at a later grade. A lot of people say, you know what, yes, you could start it as early as grade 5, but it might be better for grade 7 and 8 student. And I'm like, well, my daughter's advanced for her age. She'll be fine and she'll have no problem with it. We'll start it. And it's meant to be done entirely independently. It's different from Writing with Ease, where you have your teacher's manual and you're reading along like a script, and your students just narrating and things like that. They have their own very thick book, and then the teacher's guide is the very same mirror image of that, but it's really just more like the answer key and the rubric to understand how to mark the writing. But what I realized is, so the actual writing assignments in it, my daughter had no problem with, but it was pages and pages of reading that she would have to do first before she finally got to the writing assignment. And she wasn't reading it thoroughly, but then, it was a lot of reading to do to even understand what the assignment wanted you to do. But B, it was just taking up so much time to read through. Like, what I had thought of doing is I'll read through it, I'll assimilate it, and then explain her what her assignment should be. But that was also taking away getting her to be independent. So as I read through the lessons, I realized what Writing with Skill was all about. So Susan Wise Bauer has her degree in writing. She is a writer. She has her master's of English, and she is a technical writer. and she can teach how to write technically. You know, that is her area of expertise. So what that book is her basically writing out her lecture on writing. She's teaching, really, she's writing up verbatim how she would, if she were standing in front of a classroom, teaching about writing, giving examples, explaining things, and then at the end, here's your assignment. For my daughter at least, and I think for many kids, because I do notice that a lot of people have been selling Writing with Skill brand new on Facebook Marketplace. People, I think, are giving up on it, and a lot of people do like it, probably for the older grade that would want to read through a few pages of instructions first before getting to the assignment, that are okay with that. For my daughter, she's 10. That's quite a bit for her, and she was doing it. She did it for quite a long time till I finally said, you know what, let's stop, because I was seeing she wasn't enjoying it anymore. What I think would be best, if Susan Weiss-Bauer, if you ever see this video, or if someone knows her and wants to pass it along, if she made a video of her teaching these lectures and then giving the assignment, this course would be phenomenal. It really was great. I loved what she was teaching. It just was too lengthy for that age group. So I'm holding on to it. I don't plan on selling it. I am going to get my daughter to try it again, probably in grade 7. She's in grade 5 this year, so probably in grade 7. But what I have done instead, and the other thing that we've taken a break on, is the creative writer. Now that one was less reading. It was only maybe a page or two instead of several, and much easier to kind of process what it is they're asking you to do. It would entail like short stories. You would read it and then it would want you to write the points, different kinds of things where you're putting together plot points, and then by the end you're going to be actually writing a short story. But I've put that on hold as well. I may pick that up again in our final term. We do 3 terms, or we'll do it next year. What I am doing instead for our writing is, I found this summer, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could add this in. It looks so interesting, but we just don't have time for it. I have way too many writing curriculum, because my daughter does love to write. And I'm like, we have too much writing curriculum going on already, so I won't add it in. But I've been like hoping for an opportunity. So we dropped everything else, and for the writing portions of her language arts curriculum, and we've picked up basically a lesson plan, I would want to call it. Maybe you wouldn't call it a unit study, but from a company called Wonder House Creative. There's the website right here. She has she has unit studies, she has lessons on different topics, but she also has these research project guides where they are going to, at the end, write a research paper on very interesting topics. So the topic my daughter is writing her paper on right now is on the Bermuda Triangle. And it starts off with just teaching them first how to do the research. So it gives them links for different documentaries, different articles, the Britannica encyclopedia, and all these different things. It's teaching them how to do the research, how to compile all the evidence, and we're just partway through it right now. And then it's going to eventually get them to piece together the actual research paper, from doing a rough draft to publishing. And that's the entire thing. It was very inexpensive. It was only $16. It's a Canadian company also. So she has some Canadian focused different types of projects and units and things like that to study. But there were several interesting ones like this that we're going to utilize several of them. So this is the first one we bought. Once we've used all her writing projects, I think we'll also have a great headway to just do our own writing projects as well, because she'll have an understanding of how to kind of do it in this very organized way, a step-by-step approach of teaching them how to do it. And then I may just get her to be like, let's pick another interesting topic of your own and do the same type of research. But she's having fun with it. She thanked me. She said, Mom, I really love this. And so this is her writing curriculum for her language arts portion. We're still doing first language lessons, the fourth, which really is technically grade 4, but if you want to look at my backstories, we did a few switching around between the good and the beautiful and back and forth, and I didn't want to have any holes because first language lessons is very, very thorough. The well-trained mind is very, very thorough in a stepwise fashion. So I didn't want to jump into the grammar for the well-trained mind, which is their upper level middle school to high school grammar program. I wanted to make sure that all the gaps are filled in. So we're doing first language lessons, level 4. You can see in my video here, we're doing spelling, we're doing vocabulary, we're doing some critical thinking, and I've also I have the reading detective by the Critical Thinking Company, so I've incorporated that as well back into it since she's mostly just doing this Bermuda Triangle research project. So that is the update for writing. Another sort of it's not a big change, but I also wanted to say how much we are loving doing Shakespeare this year. We've been doing Shakespeare as a co-op in a group, and another mom was leading it. And I've now been leading it, I guess we'd call it leading it, just for my own kids at home. And we are just absolutely loving it. We're doing it at a much slower pace. So the alveary I found wants to go through it at a much faster pace, and it might be a little long for my kids to sit through and listen to so lengthy scenes. We're doing one scene at a time rather than sometimes 2 or 3 scenes, which could take much longer. And we're processing all of those things at a much slower way, talking about it, thinking about it. In addition to that, we've been doing recitation from it. We're studying Hamlet right now. And I have been amazed at how even my 6-year-old has been able to fully recite passages from Hamlet. It's just so fun. We are just having so much fun with it, and it's been far more enjoyable than I really ever realized it could be. So I really encourage you, you're not too young to start Shakespeare and really gain from it and have fun with it. Also, I wanted to just update. So I mentioned in a previous several videos ago that for science, we would be doing Berean builders. It was our first year ever doing it, and so I had no feedback to say what we like or don't like, but just a quick update, we're really loving it. I'm teaching it in our co-op. I'm teaching it to 3 different classes, some grade 1 to 2 students, grade 3 to 5 students, and then grade 6 to 8 students. We're doing science in the beginning, and I'm just tailoring different sort of assignments or narrations, expectations, and things like that. We're actually doing lab reports for the grade 6 to 8 students. But I'm just tailoring what I'm expecting from different age groups based on their age range. But you can do it as early as grade 1. And one of the students is actually in senior kindergarten, actually. He's not even in grade 1. And you can tailor the topics to really suit their level of understanding. But I find the lessons are very short and sweet. The experiments are really easy to do, and they make sense, and they really hammer home the concepts that you're trying to teach. And I've found it so far really enjoyable, and so I definitely would highly recommend. I love Apologia as well, but I would definitely highly recommend Berean Builders. We are liking it a lot so far, and I'm glad that we chose it to do this year. And then really, I would say as an update to our homeschool, I feel like this year has been a first for we're really not losing momentum. So this week that this video is coming out, we would be in week 9. And we have not had any days where we're just feeling like, let's not do school today, or let's not do these subjects. We're really just going with a great momentum. The kids are keeping up. The complaining is very minimal. Once we get going into the school day, we're really enjoying the school year in comparison to other years where there may have been complaining or let's just take this day off or, things like that. I feel like we're in our 6th year of homeschool, and we're just kind of understanding our flow. We're enjoying all the subjects that we're doing. And, I'm weaving in different things like Swedish drill. Like when I realize, we're getting a little heavy, even my mind's starting to get a little tired. Let's get up, let's do a little Swedish drill. And we'll try out different kinds of things to kind of break up the day. But I find that it's been a great year so far. We're in term 1, week 9, a few more weeks to go. I'm contemplating what we normally do is after a term of 12 weeks, so 10 weeks of classes, 1 week of review, 1 week for our exam week. If you're not familiar with Charlotte Mason exams, you can look it up. I don't know if I have a video on it, but I'm sure I've talked about our exams. And then 1 week off, and then we begin term 2. And so I'm just contemplating, I even think maybe we could even take 2 weeks off, but maybe that would be too long, and then it's hard to get back into it again. But we're really nearing the finish line of our term 1, and it's really exciting. It has been, I feel like I look forward every morning to beginning our school day and setting up our table, and it's just been really enjoyable. So I hope that encourages you that things do get better. It starts off rough. It can sometimes feel like it's not for you. Your kids may just be complaining, and eventually things do get better, because I'm really seeing that this has been such an enjoyable year for us so far. But that's all I have for you. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.